organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV, bats have invaded some Iowa City attics. Hear why some of them may be causing lawsuits.
Also, the Career Center and UI Tutoring are making improvements to help students prepare not only for classes, but a future career.
And in sports, we sit down with ESPN's Brett Baldwinot to talk a little Hawkeye football.
That's all coming your way next. Daily Iowan TV starts now.
I'm Tom Brokaw. For more than 100 years now, the University of Iowa community has been waking up to the Daily Iowan. Today, it's the largest newsroom in eastern Iowa. And now you can see the news every night on Daily Iowan TV and get it anytime worldwide at dailyiowan.com.
Thanks for tuning in to your Wednesday edition of Daily Iowan TV. I'm Tasha Woods.
And I'm Ian Martin. With the change in season, some Iowa City residents have encountered a number of unlikely and unwelcome critters. Bats have been making their way into some local homes and apartments this fall, and the risk of rabies among the winged creatures makes their presence a serious health concern. If landlords don't do anything about it, students may have a legal case. Daily Iowan TV reporter Rebecca Hoger tells us more.
Flu shots aren't the only vaccines that increase in the fall. Student health sees an increase in students for rabies treatments, especially for bat bites. Because bat bites are hard to detect on the skin, student health encourages students to get treatment as a precautionary measure if they find bats in their homes.
That's a huge health risk that you just can't not think about. You know, if you are exposed to it, you have to do something about it.
Even though rabies is a serious health concern, students can have a hard time getting landlords to pay for their medical bills for rabies shots or to get the bats out of their apartments.
Greg Ball, the supervising attorney, says that if the landlord doesn't take responsibility, it can become a legal matter.
Our position is that this is a health safety issue. It is a duty on the landlords to provide a habitable space.
University of Iowa junior Erin Rocco said she contacted Student Legal Services when she found a bat in her apartment this fall.
And I woke up and a bat swooped in front of my face. This is like at 5:30 in the morning.
Erin had to get the rabies treatment, and it wasn't cheap.
The estimate with my insurance is like $750, and for my friend who doesn't have insurance is $2,000.
Greg Ball says the landlord should cover the cost. If not, there may be a case. Rebecca Hager, Daily Iowan TV.
A half a dozen UI students have sought medical attention for bat exposure since the beginning of the year.
Some students may find that getting a tutor for their classwork is just what they need to score that next A grade. And now the UI is making tutoring much easier. The new Tutor Iowa website utilizes several different helpful resources online to direct students quickly and efficiently. Much easier now than when they used paper, that is. For Maureen Schaefer, an academic advisor, the new process makes her job a lot easier. She can go through the updated website and point students to different resources that they may need rather than sort through several links. Still to come on Daily Iowan TV, it's the season for hot cocoa, jackets, and the flu. But flu shots might not be quite as easy for some to get this fall. Details coming up.
And in sports, see what Hawkeye took home Big Ten honors for her performance this past weekend.
But first, let's check in with Kara Bimschlager for a look at your local weather. Kara, the leaves are changing colors, but what changes are we seeing in temperatures this week?
Thanks, guys. This week is going to stay warm and in the 70s for the week, so perfect weather for the start of the fall season. But first, let's take a look at tomorrow's forecast. Tomorrow morning will be chilly with a high of 55 and sunny. Later in the day, highs will reach 70 degrees and cool down later in the evening with 48. And now for a look at your 6-day forecast. We're going to see temperatures in the low 70s through Sunday with sunny skies throughout the week. Temperatures will peak on Monday with 82 degrees and cool back down to 73 on Tuesday. So a great week ahead for homecoming weekend. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Kara. You see, all your friends and family members begin to complain about having a sore throat or coughing sporadically, or maybe it's you. With the dramatic change in temperatures, one thing is clear. It's flu season. This year, more than 400 additional students got the flu vaccination than in 2011. But while these numbers have taken a jump, so has the price of getting vaccinated due to a fee. This fee, however, shouldn't be too much of a hindrance for college students because of the Affordable Care Act. This means that students who are under the age of 26 are still covered by their parents' health insurance and won't have to pay. So if you're looking to get a flu shot, check out your health insurance plan to be sure you're covered, and don't let that stop you from getting this important vaccination this fall.
Homecoming week is already halfway over, and every day is filled with different events. Monday night, the second annual recyclable boat races took place. Daily Iowan reporter Whitney Blakemore has the story.
Every year, Homecoming week is packed full with events and activities. One of the newest events happened Monday night, and that was the recyclable boat races. This event started just last year as a fun way for students to get involved during the Homecoming week. But organizer Amanda Keegan says there's another reason why they started this.
Promote sustainability on campus, and I know a lot of high schools did something like this, so we thought it'd be a fun thing to add.
At the end of the races, awards were given out to many of the teams, varying from most recyclable boat to most school spirit. But the overall award of the night was the fastest time.
In first place with a time of 33.7 seconds goes to the entertainer of Cab.
You may ask, what did they do to win the race?
I was just kind of flailing around. I was hoping it didn't sink, and when I got in and it didn't, I was good to go. I was just looking at the competition, making sure I was going fast enough.
Since this is only the second year of the recyclable boat races, they are hoping the word gets out there and more people will do it next year.
It's going to be like a growing event. We had more teams this year than last year, so it's just a fun thing to get into the homecoming spirit.
Whitney Blakemore, Daily Iowan TV.
Other homecoming events happening for the rest of this week are going to be Iowa Thursday night and Iowa Shout Thursday night, and the parade followed by the Convocation Friday.
A former University of Iowa radiology professor has agreed to stop practicing medicine in the state. After 51-year-old Malik Juwaid was asked to take a mental exam and unprofessional conduct evaluation due to the concerns that he engaged in a pattern of unprofessional conduct and disruptive behavior, he filed an objection to the allegations. Juwaid then informed the board that he had moved out of the country and will no longer be practicing medicine under his Iowa medical license.
Michelle Obama is coming back to Iowa to speak to grassroots supporters Friday at UNI in Cedar Falls. The Obama administration is working to mobilize voters on the second day of early voting in the state. The First Lady is set to speak shortly after 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And as of today, swing state polls show President Obama is leading in Ohio, Florida, and Pennsylvania. The polls also suggest that voters think Romney has lost his edge with the economy. The Romney administration says they are not concerned about the polls in response.
And President Obama a Muslim? It seems that the president's religious views are always in question, even though he's stated that he is Christian. And CNN reports a popular song artist, Madonna, joined the conversation. While on stage during her MDNA tour, the star told her audience they better be voting for the president in this election because, quote, for better or worse, all right, we have a black Muslim in the White House, end quote. Madonna later said she knows Obama is not a Muslim and was making a point that he is a good man regardless of who he prays to. Although Madonna's comment was considered radical and shocking to her audience, she says it was simply her opinion on religion and politics.
2 suicide attacks on the Syrian headquarters in Damascus today left 4 guards dead and left a key symbol of President Assad's regime in flames. The blasts were followed by 7 hours of gun battles between rebel fighters and regime forces. The attacks on the heart of Syrian capital is an example of the rebels' determination to bring down Assad as the war intensifies.
And Iran's President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was scheduled to speak at the UN General Assembly this morning, but before he took the stage, he had a new proposal for the world. That is a, quote, new world order that will replace the current era of what he called U.S. bullying. Ahmadinejad didn't seem interested on the one question on everyone's mind, Iran's nuclear weapons program. He added that he is not dismissing talks, but other world leaders have suggested to him that Iran would be better off holding nuclear talks with only the United States.
And now for your Hawkeye sports update, let's go to Kate Constable.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Iowan TV Sports Studio. On today's program, we'll be letting you know which Hawk brought home more Big Ten hardware for her performances over the weekend. But we start today with an exclusive interview as Daily Iowan TV's Josh Bolander talked with ESPN Radio's Brett Balbinot.
Obviously, a tough start to the Iowa season, 2-2 in non-conference play. Tough losses to Iowa State and Central Michigan, and not a great Central Michigan team at that. What's wrong with the Hawks to start the season?
That's a good question. If there were one specific answer, I think it would have been solved by now. It's been a number of things. I mean, if somebody would have told me, would have told you, would have told any of the 70,000 at Kinnick Stadium before the game on Saturday, Iowa's offense would finally show up, score 30-plus points against Central Michigan, everybody would have thought it would have been a victory. Defense gives up 32, including a special teams blunder at the very end that allows Central Michigan that one last drive. It's just a combination of things right now, and I think the coaching staff has multiple areas that they need to address.
Yeah, Mark Weissman, 300 yards in just over 6 quarters as the starter. Damon Bullock and Greg Garman expected to maybe return this weekend. Where's the fullback's place in the starting lineup?
That's a good question. We'll probably find out. Look, don't be surprised if you see Weissman in possibly on some special packages. I'm not saying they're going NFL mindset here and having the third down or the power back situation where you see guys rotate in, especially down around the line, around the goal line. But he does give you a different option. And right now, if you don't need to run a Bullock or a Garman's injury was nasty, folks. I don't think a lot of people understand how bad that elbow was hyperextended. I wouldn't be surprised. Not saying it's going to be a given, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Weissman in maybe in some power package situations.
Okay, James Vandenberg throws his first touchdown pass against Central Michigan. We've seen Keenan Davis play a little bit better. Jordan Cotton kind of emerged as maybe a go-to target as a wide receiver. What are your thoughts on the receiving game and Greg Davis's offense going forward?
They're still learning it, and I know this is frustrating for Iowa fans. It's frustrating for the players and the coaches, but let's be honest, they revamped the playbook. I mean, I know that situations are still the same from an offensive lineman standpoint. Look, there's only about 4 or 5 different schemes that you use as far as blocking. But when you take a look at pre-snap reads, in particular for the wide receivers, they have more flexibility than they ever have in the previous decade as head coach Kirk Ferentz's tenure. So what that means is greater responsibility. The pre-snap reads for the receivers mean they've got to check off at the line of scrimmage and realize they're on the same page with James Vandenberg. You've got to know depth of routes. You've got to make sure that maybe you cut off a route. You got to realize if a blitz is coming, hey, I'm the hot receiver. My guard on my side's uncovered. I've got to run just a quick slant. All of that stuff is still a lot, even for these upperclassmen, much less these underclassmen, to try to absorb. They're slowly but surely getting it. And you mentioned Cotton. I think what they're starting to do is run a few more layered routes. We saw a double in a couple weeks ago where he got his first reception. They're starting to use the playbook, pare it down just a little bit to try and make these guys a little bit more successful.
Okay, Hawks trying to bring home Floyd for the first time in, I believe, 3 years. Big Ten play on the horizon. Tough Big Ten schedule coming up for the Hawks. They have to go to Michigan State. What are your expectations for the Hawks in the Big Ten this year?
Right now, seriously, flip a coin. I'm not sure. And I would never before in over a decade of covering this program have we sat in week number 4 going into week number 5, and I'd be able to tell you, you know what? I'm just not sure. But that really is the reality right now for this program. Up 1 minute, down the next. Consistency going to be an issue. Look, Minnesota gives them a different matchup now with Shortell at quarterback. I just talked with Minnesota's play-by-play man earlier this week. Gray is not going to suit up this week. But Shortell's one of those pocket guys where if you give him time to stand back, much like Central Michigan did with Radcliffe last week, he will shred you. So right now I'd say first and foremost, you got to figure out a way to get a pass rush from that defensive line. And the linebackers and the safeties have got to communicate better. Too many times last week, the linebackers handed off thinking they had help over the top, and the safety wasn't there. It's stuff that can be cleaned up, but by week number 4, you thought probably would have been right now. Still a work in progress.
All right, you hear here first from Brent Balbinot. We're going to go back to the studio. Thanks for coming in, Brent. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Josh. We are pleased to end tonight's show by announcing that for the 3rd consecutive week, a University of Iowa Field Hawk has been named Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week. Senior defender Jessica Barnett received the honor after leading the black and gold line to 2 victories over the weekend. Well, that's all for us here in sports. Be sure to tune in tomorrow when our staff gets ready for this weekend's football pregame show. Back to you guys at the desk.
And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek at Thursday's pages of the Daily Iowan. Read about the latest in controversy around the UI's SAE fraternity.
And UI police are taking sexual assault seriously with a new website. Read about how this could help in sexual assault cases. That's your latest edition of Daily Iowan TV, but be sure to check us out at the same time tomorrow or anytime at dailyiowan.com.
Thanks for watching and have a great night.